This is CBC Here and Now.
Tonight, the fallout from the health minister's comments challenging Labradorians to sue government over medical transport delays. And a mixed bag of opinions about the PC government's first budget. Some are pleased, some are disappointed. Plus, a man convicted of violently killing his grandmother is handed his sentence today in provincial court. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. The long-awaited review of the Churchill Falls MOU was delivered to government this afternoon. And in 6 hours from now, that framework agreement between NL Hydro and Hydro-Quebec is due to expire. Here and Now's Terry Roberts tells us more.
The final report of the three-person panel that's reviewing the Churchill Falls Memorandum of Understanding was expected to be delivered to the government on Thursday evening. But it might be a while before the report's contents are shared with the House of Assembly or the public.
Clearly, I will have to make sure that it's reviewed by some legal folks to make sure that there isn't anything in there that we can't release.
Wakeham hand-picked the review panel, which is chaired by former Emera CEO Chris Huskelson late last year. For 4 months, they've been scrutinizing the MOU signed in December 2024 between former Liberal Premier Andrew Furey and former Quebec Premier François Legault. The MOU promised to deliver more than $200 million to the provincial treasury over 50 years, with annual payments of hundreds of millions that were to begin more than a year ago. But negotiations stopped after the PCs defeated the Liberals last fall, and Wakeham established the review panel to determine whether the MOU was in the best interest of Newfoundland and Labrador. Wakeham said he did not exercise any influence over the panel and did not receive an advance copy.
It'll be the first time we have a look at it.
The Premier promised to hold a referendum before any deal with Quebec is signed, and the Finance Minister confirmed prior to delivering the 2026 budget on Wednesday that $8 million is set aside for a plebiscite.
What the referendum looks like going forward is to be determined.
Too early to be talking about referendums. We've got to get a deal first.
The MOU proposes an expansion of the existing Churchill Falls power station, development of the Gull Island project further downstream, and a ripping up of the controversial and lopsided 1969 power deal with Quebec. Wakeham has repeatedly said he's determined to further develop the Churchill River.
Well, first thing we got to do is start negotiations. Obviously, we want to get the best deal for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians.
The Liberal leader has questioned the independence of the panel, which includes former MOU critic Michael Wilson.
Would be shocked if they say anything other than what they've already commented publicly.
And Hogan is worried that the province is missing out on some significant revenue.
If I'm Quebec and there's going to be negotiations starting tomorrow, the first thing I would take off the table is the retroactive payment for $1.5 billion.
When asked if he's been in touch with the new Premier of Quebec, Wakeham said, not lately. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
There's fallout today from the unexpected comments from the health minister. In an interview with CBC News yesterday, Leila Evans discussed medical transport delays in northern Labrador, and she challenged residents to sue her and her government if issues continue. She also contemplated whether or not she should step down. Her comments were raised in the House of Assembly today, and Here and Now's Henrika Wilhelm was there, joining us now live. Henrika, tell us about the reaction to the minister's statements in the House, both from her own party and the opposition.
Well, the opposition had lots of questions for Evans, whether she has given up on her government and whether she actually wants people to sue. Now, both during question period and when speaking with reporters afterwards, the health minister said her comments were taken out of context.
When I made those grandiose declarations about I should resign if I can't address this, I was challenging myself, because the people in my district would recognize that. They would recognize that I am going to hold myself to account. I'm not somebody who just wants an office, be a minister, so I can have the prestige of being a minister. I'm not a person that, when I'm tasked with a job, that I become overwhelmed and I don't live up to my commitments.
Evans also spoke highly of Premier Tony Wakeham, saying she is loyal to him and that their relationship is built on trust, something the Premier echoed.
I think you heard the day the minister has faith in the provincial government. What she has is a challenge with how the health system over the last 10 years has been managed. And that's the frustration that she was expressing.
Meanwhile, the opposition questioned both Health Minister and Premier on the comments made Wednesday. The MHA for Cartwright Lands-Clare and health critic Lisa Dempster is calling on Evans to take on responsibility for her portfolio. And she says the comments have created doubt whether Evans believes in her own government and its ability to fix healthcare issues.
I received calls well into the night. People were a little bit flabbergasted that current sitting health minister, you know, there was already questions. Is there too much on her plate? Are you working with intimate partner violence on the corner of your desk? Is Labrador on the corner of the desk? Is Indigenous Affairs on the corner of the desk? And now to say that she asked for something to be done 3 times, is that 3 times over 6 months, 2 months, and her direction is not being taken? That is concerning.
Now, the health minister did say she is working on fixing issues regarding medical travel for people in northern Labrador. She says proactive flight planning and better coordination is needed, and changes will take effect this spring and into the summer. Also, she wouldn't directly answer whether people should actually sue her government if those changes don't fix the issues. She just said with them in place, there will be no reason to sue. Carolyn?
Thanks, Enrica. Well, the debate over Evans' comments during question period became so heated, Speaker Paul Lane was forced to step in and lecture both the PCs and Liberals about decorum.
The member for Lake Melville is just relentless today. I have the floor.
Time's up. Order, please.
Very disrespectful, I say, to the finance minister. Very disrespectful.
I have on numerous occasions now brought up the issue of decorum, of members chirping back and forth on either side, and so on, and it doesn't seem to be getting through. So if we have to start identifying members by district once again and taking away speaking privileges on either side of this House, I'm going to start doing it. I know I keep saying it, but I keep giving latitude because I want debate to happen. But this cannot continue. So I'm asking for cooperation on both sides of the House.
That warning didn't work. In the end, Lane revoked the speaking privilege from both PC MHA Keith Russell and Liberal MHA Pam Parsons. Plus, Liberal Lisa Dempster didn't hold back while expressing her feelings about her colleague on the other side of the aisle.
Clearly, there's some work to do. It isn't pretty expected that when you're in the question period and things like that, that there's a little bit of sparring back and forth. But after that, generally, you need to get down to the important work of the people. I will say, on the MHA for Lake Melville, I did serve with him back at 12, 13 years ago, and he's apologized twice this sitting. He's lost speaking privileges today. And it's not unlike what I experienced 10, 12 years ago. So it's par for the course for him, which is unfortunate.
Well, I think there's been lots of people on both sides of the House that have been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's sometimes it's a part of normal debate, and sometimes it gets overheated. But I think that there is no blame on any one party or any one individual. I think it's a case of both sides getting heated and conversations, and the Speaker has talked about that to many members.
And still with this story, Evans' remarks were well received by the Onyakok of Makovic. Barry Anderson says Evans has a deep understanding of the problems facing the North Coast.
I agree 100% with what she's saying. It's nothing new to us that healthcare, the system for Medivac and Scidivac is not good and needs serious attention. There are very, very few doctor visits, so without proper transportation, there's no way of getting your eyesight seen to, your dental seen to, or if just an x-ray or some tests that need to be completed. We need dedicated aircraft for Medivac for the North Coast, and ground transportation within the communities from the clinic to the airports. When you have the custodian at the clinic helping out with emergencies, driving them to the airport, with no paramedics available to help out, then that's not a good situation. It's very frustrating, and I think Leela is the person there who understands that for the North Coast, and we're hoping that the province, I guess, and the federal government can work together and come up with a plan to either get extra aircraft or a better system within the provincial transportation system for medevacs, skedevacs up and running.
Turning now to news from the courts, the Crown has closed its case in Dean Penny's first-degree murder trial. Today's court proceedings ended with the jury completing its reading of text messages exchanged between Penny and his estranged wife, Jennifer Hillier Penny, between September and November of 2016. The Crown attorneys say their casework is now complete. The defense will call its first witness tomorrow morning. Penny is charged with first-degree murder, and he's pleaded not guilty. And a St. John's man with a history of violence was sentenced in court today for a drug-induced attack on his 82-year-old grandmother. Ryan Cook reports.
5 years. That's the cost of Brandon Tobin's bad decision, one that led to the loss of a life that was full of love, including love for the grandson who let her down one last time. Brandon Tobin was handed a 5-year prison sentence on Thursday in St. John's in a decision handed down by Justice Peter O'Flaherty. Tobin was high on cocaine when he suffered a seizure on March 16, 2022. He knew injecting cocaine caused his seizures, and he knew he could be confused and violent in the aftermath. He also knew his grandmother was home that night and that she could end up in harm's way. And that's exactly what happened. 82-year-old Millie Brake came to the aid of her grandson only to be attacked by him, suffering fatal internal injuries. This case is as unique as it is tragic, and that's because Brandon Tobin was not charged with the act of killing his grandmother, but rather the decision to take intravenous drugs, knowing it could put his grandmother in harm's way. That's manslaughter by criminal negligence, which tends to carry a much lighter sentence than manslaughter by criminal act. The Crown had been seeking a sentence between 5 and 6 years, while the defense countered with 3 to 4. This was far from Tobin's first encounter with the courts. He has a lengthy criminal record dating back to when he was 19. Tobin also received a 5-year prison sentence for attacking a man with a bat in 2014. His grandmother was seen sitting behind him during his court appearances, supporting her grandson through thick and thin. That loyalty proved fatal. And so off goes Brandon Tobin again, back into a prison system where he spent most of his adult life, while a family continues to grieve their senseless loss. Ryan Cook, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, let's turn to some sports news now. It's NHL playoff season, and Newfoundland's own Alex Newhook assisted a goal last night.
Newhook in front and they score! Montreal draws first blood!
The Montreal Canadiens ultimately won the game, beating the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2. And a former premier from this province was in attendance. You can see Dwight Ball right there clapping. Alex isn't the only member of the Newhook family seeing some playoff action. His sister, Abby, plays for the Boston Fleet in the PWHL, and she'll be hitting the ice tonight, facing the Ottawa Charge in Game 1 of the semifinal round for the Walter Cup. Have a look at this. Very strange. An iceberg seen off the coast of Fogo Island. The pictures posted on Facebook by Debbie Hart show what appears to be a large rock balancing precariously on the edge of the berg.
Very cool to see that. There are lots of icebergs out there, but as we head through the next couple of days, we are going to be seeing a little bit more drizzle and fog in the forecast. That's certainly the story tonight for most areas. Now, the chance of snow also in the forecast for parts of Labrador, particularly in the west, and really only through the overnight, at least tomorrow night, but certainly still in the forecast. And then rain, drizzle, and fog, the story as we head through the weekend as well for most areas. I'll get into all of that when I come back a little later.
provincial government has gone to the Supreme Court.
2 and sunshine in Deer Lake today.
A spokesman for the owners says a statement will be issued within a week.
Glad you could join us for Here and Now.
This is CBC.
Well, many people continue to thumb through the provincial budget released yesterday, digesting all of the details, and there's been plenty of reaction to the fiscal plan. Here are a few thoughts and opinions about government strategy and direction.
Well, there were some positive things in the budget, certainly some steps towards improving affordability and addressing affordability in these economic times. There was also increases for the RNC and policing, which, it's a top-of-mind issue for people in the city. And also an increase in money for housing through Newfoundland and Labrador housing, which is another significant issue. Concerned about the reduction in capital for the municipal infrastructure. It was a significant decrease. We don't know yet how that impacts us as a municipality. Hopefully over the next few days we'll be able to get some more details on that to determine it, but that's an area of concern that we need to have a deeper look at.
We asked for, Churchill Now, Newfoundland and Labrador had 3 asks for the budget, which was, the first one was to ensure the expansion and strengthening of the $10 a day program. Then we asked for space creation. And the third and most important thing that we wanted to see was a total compensation package for early childhood educator and the workforce. And we acknowledge that they have budgeted $33 million for space creation, and they have committed to continuing the $10 a day program, but there's nothing in there for the workforce, and we are very disappointed in that. It's important because what's in that package is 10 paid sick days, defined benefits pension plan, and improvement in the medical benefits plan for early childhood educators. Early childhood educators don't have a pension plan. They have nothing to look forward to. We have nothing to look forward to when we retire. And more importantly, we have no sick days. We work in a sector with children that are always sick. And when we get sick, we have to think about, do we stay home and not get paid, or do we go in and infect the rest of the children with what we have? It's very hard mentally on us. It's hard because we have to think about the children that we care for, and then we have to think about ourselves and our families. So we're already not paid enough, and people are already struggling to afford basic things that they need in life. Rent has gone up, food has gone up, inflation has gone up, and we have to think about all of that when we look at our salaries. So it's very hard to not go to work even if you're sick.
Mixed budget, I think, for Memorial. Good news there for our students and our partners with the student unions through our coalition of unions. They saw the tuition freeze and some planning towards a tuition rebate, but no further funding beyond that. So our understanding is that the planned cuts to the operating grant from the previous Liberal government have been implemented. So that's really difficult news for the rest of the university community.
I think that there are definitely positives and negatives for students in this budget. Obviously, the positive is that we're seeing a tuition freeze, not just for MUN students, but also for CNA students. And we're seeing investments in things like a potential tuition reimbursement post-graduation and in some paid work terms for students. What we're not seeing is a significant reinvestment into our institutions like Memorial University or CNA that's going to be able to keep up with preventing the cuts that we're seeing, especially at Memorial University.
My reaction is, in this case, the Minister of Justice listened and the government, it's something we've been advocating for, and certainly the frontline staff, because court staff and sheriffs, you've heard that's part of the reason why we've actually had closures, delays in proceedings. So the only thing now is how we do the retention piece to keep those that we have, because that's got to be our focus. We see lots of talk here about recruitment, but the first thing is the initiative, how we keep the staff we have, and then add to that complement that they've clearly identified. So that's something our officers, whether it be the sheriff's officers or court officers, actually advocated for, and positive move in that regard.
Ashley's here with a look at the weather, and just gorgeous out there today. I hope it lasts.
Yeah, it has been in place for quite a while, this nice big ridge of high pressure. But yeah, things are going to change as we head through the weekend. That's because the ridge is going to slowly pull away, and we're going to lose the influence from that ridge of high pressure. But those skies still blue today. We did see a little bit of cloud cover and even some fog this morning, but that quickly burned off. Now, up across Labrador, you'll be seeing some shower activity, and things will start to get a little bit more unsettled across the island portion of the province as well. But today, temperatures not quite as warm as yesterday, but not that far off, that's for sure. 13 degrees in Grand Falls, Windsor today, 12 in Gander, 13 in Terra Nova as well. But those areas that are seeing that onshore flow, like the Avalon, the Bonavista Vista Peninsula, South Coast, even the Northern Peninsula, your temperatures all sitting into the single digits. The hot spot across the province, though, today, Happy Valley Goose Bay at 16 degrees, and those temperatures, although not that cool, are they're going to continue. This is supposed to be a view of the harbor, which I don't know why it's not showing up, but it is still lovely out there. There is a little bit of cloud cover moving in, but those southeasterly winds are gusting around 35 kilometers per hour, and your temperature sitting around the 5 degree. I don't know what that is. Somebody did something to that. Anyway, the cloud cover, as you can see here, is going to really move in. The fog bank off the coast as well will continue to move in as we head through the night tonight. But most of us still enjoying a beautiful evening, and we can see some of that cloud cover to the south there that has some texture. That's some of the shower activity that will move in, and certainly up across Labrador as well. As we take a look at the temperatures for tonight, you'll be dipping. Not quite as cold as it has been the last couple of nights, but still hovering around the 0 degree mark, maybe even a little bit above. 1 to 3 degrees will be the story across the island, and then anywhere from about -2 to 0 for Labrador. And again, fairly quiet weather for you. You're just looking at partly cloudy skies through the overnight. But that fog will start to develop through the night tonight and into the first part of tomorrow, with some drizzle moving in along with it. And you can see that pretty much all along the northeast coast there, south coast of the island, and then for Labrador, generally just looking at increasing cloud as we head towards the morning. Now, by the time we get into tomorrow morning, most areas will be seeing that cloud cover, with the exception of the west coast as we head into the afternoon. That fog, or the cloud cover rather, it'll start to be sunny into the afternoon. That's the good news there. And then for Labrador, you'll be seeing some shower activity into the afternoon, especially for the west. And then as the temperatures drop tomorrow night, this is going to change over to the chance of some snow. Now, across the island, we should start to see the clouds clear into the afternoon, mainly through central, but that fog and drizzle continuing as we head into the afternoon, particularly along the coast, and then that will fill in yet again by the time we get into Saturday morning. But there's that potential to see some snow for those of you in Lab West as we head into Friday night, into Saturday even, still looking at those chances of some wet snow in the mix as well as we head through the day on Saturday. Your daytime highs tomorrow, again in onshore flow, winds shifting to more easterly or even southeasterly for those of you on the west coast. That's where the sun will come out, and temperatures will be a lot nicer. So anywhere from 10 to 13 degrees. Again, that onshore flow along the south coast, the Avalon, Bonavista Vista Peninsula, Burin Peninsula, and even the Northern Peninsula. You're looking at your temperatures sitting into the single digits. Tomorrow, away from that onshore flow, is where those temperatures will be the warmest. Now, for Labrador, essentially the exact same thing as far as those temperatures are concerned. But your winds will be out of the south, and they'll be gusting upwards of about 40 kilometers per hour, mainly for those of you in the west, and single-digit temperatures. You get away from that Upper Lake Melville area, still looking at a beautiful day tomorrow. Mix of sun and cloud. Clouds will be on the increase, but another day sitting around the 14-degree mark, and even towards the coast. Cartwright-Mackovic, you're sitting somewhere between 11 and 12 degrees. So it will get a little bit more unsettled as we head towards the weekend. Certainly more shower chances in the forecast, but I'll get into that when I come back.
Well, as we've been talking about, the PC government has tabled its first budget since winning a majority in October. The deficit has improved after an injection of cash from high oil prices. It still sits at $688 million, but government is forecasting the province will dive much deeper into the red over the next 3 years. I spoke with MUN economist Lynn Gambin to get her assessment of government's financial approach.
Yeah, I think it wasn't surprising to see the deficit go down since the oil and gas prices, the price of oil has gone up so much, so that's an uplift for our revenue. The revenue didn't go up as much as it would have if tax cuts hadn't come into play, which saw that side of revenue go down a bit. Spending's up a little bit, so no big surprise on that. It's good to see it come down, though, overall.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested in the forecast for the price of oil, because that makes a really big difference in the budget going forward. Some people are saying $79 is lowballing it. Can you talk about what kind of a difference it makes to the budget when you do lowball the price of oil?
It makes a very big difference given what our economy looks like and how much we rely on that as a major industry. I think right now in the budget it accounts for 19% of the revenue. So it's huge. So a dollar change is going to lead to a big difference in what the revenue is and therefore what the deficit is, all else the same. 79, some people may think it's a bit too low. I think my own opinion is that being a bit lower is very safe, and it's more beneficial to do that than to overestimate what the price is going to be and then have to downgrade things later on. So what it might lead to is that we may be way better off than we're anticipating right now in this moment under those estimates, rather than the other way around.
Mm-hmm. And right now, the PCs have no plan to balance the books. They're planning on running a deficit for the next 3 years, and a big one, too, over $1 billion. What did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, when we saw the update, that was the real concern, how close we were to $1 billion. So now that it's there and hitting $1 billion in a couple of years' time, that is a concern for people. The number is big. The important issue is how well we can service what we borrow, how credible we are in terms of whether we'll be able to just make the appropriate payments on it and keep the cost of borrowing down. So if our credit rating was to go really poorly, we would get higher costs of borrowing, which would make it less sustainable and less sustainable. So it's important for the government to set out a plan about their investment, the strategy around industrial development, those kinds of things, to make it feasible that they're going to have the returns on those investments in the future. We're going to have the economy booming at some point and be able to at least service the debt.
Yeah, because servicing it costs $1.1 billion a year. It's amazing to think what you can do with that money otherwise. How do you think the credit rating agencies will view this budget? Because yes, running deficits, but there's a lot of potential on the horizon in terms of resource development.
Well, they'll look at a number of indicators, key indicators, and patterns within what the government is putting out. It is important to keep in mind that we do see an increase in spending overall. That's the one part of the budget that we really have control over as a government, that's where they can pull levers, that's where they can make changes to spending. What is important to keep in mind is the spending is largely on affordability measures and just providing the services that we're kind of used to in the province and expanding some of those. But it is important for credit rating agencies to see that it's being responsible spending, that it's not, just having no strategy to it whatsoever.
And today is significant because it's the deadline for the review of the Churchill Falls MOU, but it's also the day that the MOU expires officially. And they say that if the deal were to be done, it would add $1 billion to the coffers every year for the next 17 years and then go up from there. What kind of a difference would that make if we were getting that money?
So $1 billion a year would, if we did nothing else different, it would reduce our deficit. It would get rid of it in the current budget projection for the next couple of years or so. Whether we would see spending not go up alongside increased revenue, that's not something that we normally see. We normally see when revenue increases, spending increases, and the deficit may shrink a bit, but it doesn't always totally get eliminated. We could get back to surplus with something like that. So the MOU is really important, or whatever comes after the MOU once it expires or once it's signed. That's key to Newfoundland and Labrador's prosperity going forward. Also, things like the Bay du Nord project, defence spending, all of those things are going to be really important to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, and trying to make sure we have things ready to jump on those and get the most in terms of the economic returns.
Yeah, looking at the numbers, looking at the books alone, it feels pretty grim, but there was such a sense of optimism among many of the ministers yesterday, saying, it's a great day to be Newfoundlander and Labradorian. So what did you make of that kind of disconnect?
Yeah, I mean, the deficit is big. That's a worry. People are facing lots of affordability concerns. Cost of living is up, inflation, people worry about that. The price of oil and gas, it's great for the budget balance. It's not so great when you go to the gas pumps and when you try to heat your home. So there's some measures in there for that, and that needs to be kept in mind. So economic growth for the province as a whole is a very positive thing and something to be very optimistic about when we look at our natural resource sector, our energy sector, and potential that we have across many industries. But it is important to keep in mind, and what people really feel is how those things affect them directly, how much their taxes are, can they get access to good work, can they get access to childcare, long-term care, elder care. Those kinds of things are really important. Can they afford to eat and heat and feed their children and their families? So, growth in GDP is wonderful. It's great. It's what we aim for, but how it's spread out, and equality is really important too.
Police are warning of a new dangerous synthetic opioid in this province. For the first time, a drug known as cyclorphine was found in a pill form in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Now, the drug is believed to be 10 times more potent than fentanyl and can be fatal in small doses. Police are warning the pill looks like authentic prescription pain medication. There are no obvious physical differences between the two. And in other news, Budget Day in this province came on the heels of the federal spring economic update. Among Ottawa's promises is a new program to address Canada's shortage of skilled trades workers. The federal government is promising $6 billion in funding to recruit, train, and hire up to 100,000 new tradespeople. The CBC's Caroline Bargout has more details about who could benefit.
After spending 15 years as a chef, Melody Watkins is making a change. She's now in her second year training to be an electrician and loves it.
I picked trades because there is a big need for trades right now. And I knew that I would have a reliable job, and it's something that would be more of a career instead of just a passing interest.
Ottawa says Canada will need 1.4 million additional tradespeople by 2033. If nothing changes, it predicts the country will be short 20,000 people a year. That's why it's now offering billions in incentives for students and employers.
A lot of existing trades workers are approaching the end of their careers, and they will be retiring over the next few years. So this is a step in the right direction, but we still face a real challenge on the skilled labor supply front.
At this BC school, instructors and students say the plan to give those in technical training $400 a week and $5,000 for completing the Red Seal certification is a step in the right direction.
Across Canada, we have a problem with apprentices failing to complete their apprenticeship and obtain their Red Seal endorsements. And a lot of that has to do with the high cost of living.
But once you get, further along, taking the break for school can sometimes be quite a bit of a pay cut.
In 2024, less than 20% of apprentices completed their programs within the expected duration, according to Statistics Canada.
That living money may not necessarily address some of the exam anxieties and learning challenges that they have getting through to completion. So it's not the end of the story, but it is very helpful.
This is the last lab for these students before they go out into the working world. The federal government now hoping there's tens of thousands more like them. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Vancouver.
There is a lot of anticipation in Central Labrador over the federal government's promised $8 billion investment in Five-Wing Goose Bay. It's part of Ottawa pouring money into improving the Canadian military. But some say the funding isn't enough. More people are needed too. The CBC's Murray Brewster has details on who's needed and the plans to boost recruitment.
Canada's military faces a daunting mission to more than triple its size, and the country's top general, who is close to presenting her recommendations to the federal cabinet.
In the next month or so, we will be able to present various options, and the discussion is going very well.
Recruitment to the armed forces is the highest it's been since 3 decades plus.
A lot of interest from the highest political office.
We're going to continue to grow the military and grow the military reserves. I'm encouraged by what's happened over the course of the last year.
The Prime Minister is encouraged by a modest turnaround in military enrollment numbers reported last week, partly spurred by last year's substantive pay raise. There's also renewed urgency. New equipment programs appear to be coming together quickly.
And we can show you around.
Two companies bidding on Canada's submarine contract have submitted their final proposals. The Air Force's first new F-35 comes off the assembly line later this year, in the face of a major pilot and technician shortage. The military has a long way to go to ensure it has enough personnel to staff and maintain those ships and planes. It is now about 8,500 short of its current modest target of 100,000 members. It wants to have almost 500,000 ready to fight in a crisis. And there are lessons being learned from allies already at war.
We had a specific Ukrainian situation where we did explore mobilization. So this is, of course, contributing to how we are going to build our own solution in Canada.
I hope that the plan that is coming from the Chief of Defence Staff will be taken seriously by this Liberal government and that they'll actually put the resources behind it.
This week's fiscal update tried to make it more attractive to join the reserves by offering paid skills training, a $275 million program, a drop in the bucket with what a full mobilization plan would need. Marie Brewster, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, gas prices are up nearly 4 cents per liter in this province today, and drivers across the country are feeling more pain at the pumps as well. That's because global oil prices hit a 4-year high at $126 a barrel. As we've seen in the recent provincial budget, those high oil prices can dramatically improve this province's fiscal situation. Now, the price increased again due to stalled talks between Washington and Tehran, which are sparking fresh doubts about the Iran war ending soon. Iran has squeezed world energy supplies by blocking oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, and its own oil industry is increasingly threatened by a U.S. naval blockade. The end result is a chokehold on global oil shipments from the Persian Gulf states. They account for 1/5 of the world's oil supply. The Alberta government is testing out something new on the province's busiest highway. It's allowing drivers to travel faster on a section that runs between Calgary and Edmonton. Sarah Reed reports.
We're along the QE2 highway just south of Leduc, where the speed limit here is now 120 kilometers per hour. Now, the speed change from 110 to 120 is all part of a provincial pilot project that will run from the commercial vehicle inspection station just past Leduc for 22 kilometers south on QE2. Now, the province says that it has already made some safety improvements to this area, including longer ramps and speed slope paving. Now, it also says it's going to use the pilot to collect data about driver habits, traffic flow, and safety outcomes using speed sensors on the overpasses. But the Minister of Transportation says he already has an idea of what they may or may not see during the pilot.
Obviously, collisions, that's something that we don't obviously anticipate because the vast majority of people on Highway 2 are going 120 or faster already. So we don't think that's going to be a scary metric that will move.
The province says that the main reason behind the pilot project is reducing travel times. But there are groups, including some engineers and first responders, that are expressing concerns about the potential safety impacts. The Alberta Road Builders and Heavy Construction Association says it's worried that increased speeds could lead to increased danger for highway workers and damaged infrastructure. Now, the province says that it doesn't anticipate having to increase its infrastructure budget, and if all goes well with this pilot project, that could lead to a potential increase in speed limits on other divided highways across the province. Sarah Reed, CBC News, Edmonton.
I have something for you that's in-depth and easy listen and super specific about issues where we live. It's a podcast called This is Newfoundland and Labrador, hosted by me, Adam Walsh, and brought to you by your CBC journalists right across the province. Each week we cut through the noise and we bring you one big, focused news story, and we break it all down for you in less than 30 minutes. So stay in the know and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop each and every Wednesday.
Actually, before we get to your weather forecast, we're going to have a look at an unusual innovation in New York.
Yeah, it's a new method of transportation that's got some people looking up.
An electric air taxi flight from an international airport to a downtown heliport has never been seen before anywhere in the world. And it's exactly the sort of operation that's going to become commonplace.
Yeah, this is an air taxi pilot program, no pun intended. The week-long testing is to demonstrate a flying taxi operation ahead of a government approval.
Wow. The aircraft can take off from New York's JFK Airport and land at one of the city's existing heliports. The service aims to make a trip between downtown and airport in under 10 minutes.
Wow. Several air taxi firms are pushing for regulatory approvals in order to meet the public's demand for faster commutes. China, India, and United Arab Emirates are also working on similar projects. That is neat.
It just looks like a flying drone.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
The future is here. So let's talk about the weather. Speaking about looking up into the skies, you were talking earlier about how things are going to change. We're heading into the weekend tomorrow. How are things looking there?
Yeah, so we've been enjoying sunshine for several days now, but yeah, that is going to change, unfortunately, with some showers and some drizzle and some fog in the forecast. Let's take a look at what's going on. So that will really start tomorrow, the potential for some drizzle and fog, but things will really start to get going up across Labrador through the day on Saturday with some shower chances. Same thing for the southwestern corner of the province, of the island rather. Through the day on Saturday, and then we'll see that work across southern areas as we head into the evening hours. Now, most of us will be seeing cloud cover pretty much across the board on Saturday for the province, with the exception of the north coast. You'll see some of that cloud cover arrive later in the day with some shower chances as well. But yeah, things very different than they have been for most of this week. The temperatures, however, not extremely different. Anywhere from the single digits. Again, onshore flow will keep those temperatures cool. You head through central, west coast, much warmer, 12 to 13 degrees for your Saturday. Up across Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures in the double digits again for central Labrador and towards the coast as well. But along the strait, single digits, west, single digits, same thing for the north coast. You'll be sitting somewhere between 3 and 5 degrees for your daytime highs. As we look ahead to Sunday, that rain will start to work further east. So through the overnight and into Sunday morning, we will be dealing with some periods of rain, and then coastal areas of Labrador as well. You'll still be dealing with some of that shower activity. Now, things will be a little bit more unsettled for Labrador. In fact, extreme western portions of Labrador may be seeing some snow through the day through the first part of Sunday rather. This will likely mix with some rain because temperatures are going to be a little bit mild, but still there is that chance. Now, Sunday afternoon, there's also a chance we'll see a break in that cloud cover for the Avalon and potentially parts of central areas of the island as well. So keep that in mind, although it looks like it fills in fairly quickly. There is still a chance we could see some sunshine. Your daytime highs, again, through central will be in the teens. Same thing for the west coast. Otherwise, 3 to 9 degrees, maybe a little bit warmer for the Burin Peninsula. Then for Labrador, coastal areas sitting in the single digits. Same thing for Lab West. But the Upper Lake Melville area, you'll be sitting around the 10-degree mark. Now, as we look ahead to next week, Monday, an area of low pressure will likely bring some rain again. Tuesday, around 11 degrees. So we're back up into the double digits, I should say, with some sunshine. Next week actually looks pretty nice temperature-wise. That will be the story for central and western Newfoundland as well, with daytime highs dipping a little bit on Monday, but rebounding quite nicely for Tuesday with some sunshine. And then for Labrador, you'll be a little bit all over the map as far as the weather goes, but temperatures settling into the single digits for eastern portions of the Big Land as we head into next week. And then same thing for Western Labrador. We'll say goodbye to those flurry chances by the time we get into next week as well, although your daytime highs will only be around 4 or 5 degrees. Our weather photo of the day, speaking of the Big Land, a beautiful photo. Carolyn's going to love this one, of a snowy owl.
Gorgeous.
Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful, yeah.
Great shot there. Thank you so much for that photo. If you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, we love seeing them. You can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Just gorgeous. Love to how you can really, get a sense of the snowy owl camouflage.
Majestic.
There on the snow and ice. Yeah, very nice. Thank you so much for sending that in. Love that. Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. Hope you can join us again tomorrow.
Good night.